Hello and welcome to the Hard Card podcast, recorded and filmed at Authentic Collectables HQ in Perth, Western Australia. Today we're joined by one of the modern superstars of Australian motorsport, a driver who is one of the bona fide celebrities of our sport, really, thanks to his race-winning prowess in the car and his charisma out of it. Of course, I'm talking about Chaz Mostert. Chaz, thanks for joining me. How are you today?
Yeah, good, thanks. I was trying to work who you were introing then because that sounded absolutely nothing like me. So yeah, as you can see, I'm coming in live from Mount Panorama here. I live here all year just 'cause I love the track so much.
Just hanging out with
But
Grant
yeah,
Denyer
thanks
all the
for having me
time?
on the hard card.
Just hanging out with Grant Denyer in Bathurst?
Yeah, he's got his camper here too. We normally have scones around about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'm looking forward to that coming up.
Let's crack straight into some of the current affairs in Supercars at the moment. You actually did some testing very recently at the Bend on behalf of Supercars on the prototype tyre that we could see racing next year. How did you find it?
Yeah, it was definitely different. It was a unique day. Anytime you get an opportunity to drive these cars is fantastic, but it's also nice that probably the last couple of years that the Supercars has really taken the initiative with teams and drivers to make sure you're trying to do as much testing on things from a category point of view and looking forward. So yeah, I think this year is really nice to see different teams and drivers test the so-called new tyre and get heaps of information and make sure that it is the right decision. So the day was pretty good. Went through their program. Tailem Bend's a pretty unique place, as all tracks are. So, yeah, not too sure about the degradation, but the pace of the tyre was quite impressive. So, we'll just have to see what they come up with and go from there. So I know that's not necessarily the final thing that they'll do for next year, but like I said, they're just gathering as much information as they can at the moment.
Where do you sit on the deg debate? You sort of have people that think, we need more grip to promote overtaking. Then there's people that say, no, you need a tyre that degs really high and drops off, that creates better racing. Where do you sit on that debate?
It's a tough one. I suppose everyone's always going to have a different opinion, but for me, what I really like about probably our championship this year, and especially from us as a team and a new generation of car, I think the different tyres I'm being a fan of this year. And for us as a team, we obviously had a really tough Darwin on the super soft tyre, so our focus, knowing the super soft tyres are coming back up, has been trying to make the car better and try and understand that. And when you do work really hard and you can find we're going in this weekend, coming into Tasmania, and we really don't know where we quite sit, but we feel quite confident that we've tried to turn a couple of new stones to make the car better on that tyre. If you do go and achieve that, that's so satisfying to know as a team and a driver that you worked extremely hard and you're able to turn things around. So I suppose if you go back to one tyre for the year, generally, rule of thumb, you're probably going to adjust your car a bit here, a bit there for that type of stuff. But the difference between a hard, a soft, and a super soft tyre and the characteristics of it can be so different, as we see from where we went to the 500 at the start of the year, through softs through the year, and then that super soft. So just creates different elements for different teams to pop up and to build the championship, where we talk about trying to win a championship. All those different things to be good throughout the year is so hard, and that's so rewarding if you can get it towards the end.
Talking about the super soft, you obviously referenced Darwin, which was a bit of a struggle, apart from the Saturday race, which was got to be up there with one of your best drives. I mean, Ryan was testing at the Bend as well, using one of his rookie days. Do you feel like, is there some confidence in the camp that you might have found what you need with the super soft heading to Tassie and Sandown?
Yeah, so I think the rookie test day for us as a team couldn't come at a better time. So, there's definitely a lot of folks around trying to drive on some super softs for Ryan and see if we could try and present a bit better car for that tyre. It's a bit different. Darwin, you got 30-degree days, super hot track temp. So the super soft is right at the end of at its limit. You really need a good car to complement that. So Tailem Bend, it was a nice cool day, bit completely the opposite. And Woody said the car felt quite good. So definitely tried some things. We won't really know till we get to Tasmania and get into the competition with all the other guys and the other cars that have been quite strong in that tyre. So then you go to Tasmania and the whole field can be within half a second, which is really exciting as well. So we'll just have to see what we got. But I think the test couldn't come at a better time. We tried a heap of things, and no doubt we've got about a less than a week to go through the data and make sure we present our best car at Tasmania on that tyre.
WAU is definitely in some really good form at the moment. There's been a few false starts over the years since you joined the team. You think back to Bathurst 2021, where it looked like you guys had really nailed it, and then There's sort of just been elements of inconsistency over the last couple of seasons. 2 meetings in a row you've been quick. Is it time? Well, I mean, apart from Darwin, you've pretty much been quick everywhere this year. Is it time to start believing that, there might be some genuine pace here?
I don't know. I'm not a guy to really think that far ahead, so it's a bit of a one. I look at my journey at WAU so far. Come in the first year in Gen 2, and we weren't able to achieve a win that year. We went into the following year, we got 3 wins. We got into that last year of Gen 2, we got 5 wins. So the momentum was always going that way. And then last year, we come into the first year of Gen 3, brand new product, and we were really kind of felt like we were quite up against it. We did a lot of hard reflecting in the off season, and the team worked just as hard as the first year, bringing Gen 3 in to try and bring us a different package this year. And I must say that that's definitely probably been the biggest thing this year. We just fixed a lot of the little things that we felt like we could have done better from last year, and the team did an amazing job. So yeah, look, there's definitely momentum with us at the moment. The motto for me, which I keep trying to push with the team, and they seem to be responding real well, is just let's be aggressive. Let's not leave one turn unstoned, a stone unturned, sorry, and just make sure that we keep learning the car, because this year, for me, it feels like it is our first year of Gen 3. Last year was really hard to get a read on with what we had. So yeah, it's been really cool, and SMP was just such a satisfying weekend. I've never clean sweeped a weekend before, but the car pace was amazing. That we changed the car throughout the weekend, and it responded to changes really well. So when you got that element in any racing where you can influence a weekend, and you get it the right way, it's so cool.
As you flagged there, I mean, the team has undoubtedly improved in the 4 years or 5 years or whatever it plays out to be that you've been there. How do you reflect on the decision to go to WAU? It kind of gave you your chance to have a bit of ownership of the direction of the team. Do you feel like you've had that? Has it been the right move for your career, even though, as we sit here right now, it hasn't yielded a Supercars championship yet?
Yeah, 100%. I love the environment I'm in here at WAU. When I first come here, I felt like myself and the team were probably very much of the same mentality, and probably that underdog mentality is when you get it all right, you can achieve what you want to do. And our goals aligned where we want to end up winning championships and Bathurst, and basically get back to some really cool heritage that this team used to have back when they used to be full on red. So yeah, I enjoyed the challenge of coming here, but I could see from my initial thoughts and looking around that everything that I want to achieve can be achieved here, and with the people involved, and still yet to tick all those boxes. But I think this year is a real credit to where we are in the championship at the moment, the momentum we've been building, and no doubt it's not an easy. This championship trying to win is not easy. You can have wins, and then the next round you can go to Darwin and you can be quite off it. So never take anything for granted. Nothing's ever for sure. So you just got to keep riding the wave while you can, and just enjoying the challenge at the moment, as our team is as well, and the competitiveness as well.
I know you don't like talking about the title too much mid-season, but do you feel like it's something that's overdue for you? I mean, you've been among the best in this category for a decade, or do you feel like you're still building towards it and that it's going to come?
No, I don't. You can't really reflect on the past. You can only look to the future. And for us, we've had in Supercars amazing drivers, if not some of the best drivers just in Australia and New Zealand, come here to race, but some in the world. You look at caliper of SVG and Scotty Mack and those guys. They're doing. Look what they're achieving overseas in different categories. So for me, haven't achieved what I wanted to achieve, winning championships. Winning a championship yet, but had some really, really hard competition along the way, and teams that have really been worked extremely hard and got those results as well. And it just shows how cutthroat this industry is, and that's what really makes us keep coming back week in, week out, trying to improve and trying to achieve that. Because I think when you do achieve it, you look at Erebus for last year, and Barry at the end of the year, and Brody and different championship team that had necessarily not won it. It just looks so rewarding, so awesome. So hopefully we can get there at some point. But at the moment, I'm just focused on week in, week out, just trying to make sure we keep getting those wins and trying to stand on the top step, because it's what we all do it for.
When you say you don't reflect on the past, there's never any thoughts about 2015. I mean, you were really kind of the form guy heading into Bathurst there. That definitely could have been a title-winning year.
Yeah, it could have been, but it wasn't. So that's exactly what the history says. So I was really enjoying the challenge in 2015. I had an amazing teammate in Frosty, which obviously went on to win the championship that year. And I learned a lot driving beside him and trying to watch from the distance and how he went about his craft and how he was with the fans and all that kind of stuff. And he's had an amazing career in this sport as well. So I was super lucky at a young age to be teamed up with him, and he went on to deserve to win that championship. So 15, you look back on a young guy, full 100% to the wall, and didn't probably give Bathurst as much respect as it needed to in 2015, especially after I was able to achieve an unreal win in 2014, which we didn't expect to be involved in. And the place bites you. So you got to take every lesson out of everything. And 2015 Bathurst crash for me was like, wow, these places need respect and this category needs respect. And then sitting on the sideline was really tough to a point because you felt like the first 3 years of my career went so fast, and I felt like it was still my first year, and I was sucked missing out on racing. But then I really learned in 15 a lot about the fan involvement, a lot more sitting on that, and the amazing people that reached out to me and signed massive banners that pretty much I think was about a 20-meter banner or 25-meter banner at Bathurst. Everyone signed for me to get well, and so this sport's given me so much more than just results in itself as well. So I learned a lot out of 2015.
It's funny when you talk about that relationship with Frosty and, what you learnt from him. There's kind of parallels with what the situation you're in now with, with a rookie in Ryan Wood. You've sort of got the front row seat to his introduction to supercars. He's a funny guy. He's a big personality. He seems like he's got plenty of raw pace. Is he a superstar of the future, do you think?
He's kind of sitting off camera to me right now, so I don't think he's got it. I don't think he's got what it takes. Look, we all know the talent Ryan is. I think what's so impressive about him is how short his car journey has been in motorsport and what he's able to produce and what he's able to show. I feel like for me, I was so lucky with the guys that I got teamed up with in early days, and that element at FPR or Tickford at the time really helped bring me on to try and become the driver I am today. Probably haven't achieved what I wanted to as quick as possible, but it's a super hard category. But I'd just like to hope that I can offer support to Ryan, and no doubt what he's already doing behind the scenes is pushing me along to all new levels as well. When you got a young whippersnapper biting at your heels, trying to keep you honest and making sure you're getting the most out of these cars, that's only going to make you lift too. So really love the dynamic we got here at WAU this year, and like I said, we've worked extremely hard as a team in the break to give us some really competitive cars to go get those results, and it's really nice to these last couple of rounds to be able to reward the team with that.
You've been around for a while. You've raced against some amazing drivers. There's a lot made about the fact that, Scotty went overseas, Shane's gone overseas. What's Cam Waters going to do in the future? On the flip side, we've got Cam here, we've got Will Brown, we've got Brock Feeney, we've got Brody Kostecki, young guys like Matt Payne, Ryan. Like, are you still? I mean, the level is still ridiculously high in this championship, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, you can't, with SVG going overseas and Scotty Mack going overseas, and the mentality of that the field's lost depth is probably wrong. It's just different era of drivers coming through at different times. So, my era in that age thing, you look at Giz and Scotty, and you got Cam. Then you got the next generation. You got, guys like Will Brown, Brody, and then you got this really young generation coming through as well, with Woody, Feeney, just announced this week, Alan, and guys like that. It's this category and the drivers out of Australia and New Zealand is super high. So, you can't take away from this sport and what it is putting out there. And I think it's got a lot to do with the cars as well. These are some of the hardest race cars around the world to drive or extract speed of. There's no such thing as a perfect car balance with these. You've always got to try and influence, I feel like, these old heavy dinosaurs of cars, and as soon as you make them too good, we start to, I think we start to lose our element of what supercars is all about. And I feel like you hear about, I think I saw a recent article of Tommy Randall said he went over and started speaking to some drivers overseas, and he was saying that those guys just say that our cars are just out of control, unreal to even watch or even think about driving. So it's what this category really produces as well. And I think that's why Scotty, Gizzy, they've gone overseas to different categories, and we've and able to adapt quite quickly and show the performance in different categories around the world.
We've got some great drivers in supercars. We've also got some great personalities. You're obviously one of them. Will Brown, Ryan. Is there something, we're lucky as people that work in the sport that we get to experience those personalities, but is there something that supercars can do to try and help showcase those personalities to the wider audience? Because that is a point of contention sometimes, that maybe we don't have, necessarily the household names that the sport once had.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think Ryan's got a pretty good personality. Will Brown, I don't think he's got a personality at all. So he just keeps smiling and gets red cheeks. So on the hindsight, I think the most important thing is we talk about personalities and stuff in our sport, but we just need to make sure our products, number one, is good. The racing is solid, and that creates all those talking points behind the scenes as long as the racing's good. And I think the last 2 rounds we saw at SMP and Townsville, long races, fuel races, strategy, plenty of people coming together, racing as hard as they can, creates that good stuff in press conferences where there's so much to talk about. But if we don't have the product, where we maybe go back to sprint races and vice versa, which I'm leaning less and less against, and you end up following the leader, and the guy that starts on pole wins the race, and the guy that comes 10th still finishes 10th, there's not a lot to be excited about from a personality side of things. The action's not there. So as long as the product's good, you'll see the personalities flourish. You'll see the elements come out, and I think that's what we've really seen the last couple of rounds as well.
You've been outspoken on the formats, obviously saying that you'd like to see more and more, the direction of the longer races. There were some comments from Tim Edwards. I spoke to him earlier this week. He sort of highlighted that, he indicated that he doesn't necessarily like it when it's the same format day to day, because guys kind of work out, how to go fast on Saturday, and then they all do the same on Sunday. Do you agree that maybe a bit of balance between having, different formats across one weekend is the direction that supercars should be going?
Yeah, different formats, but I feel like the formats have created different strategies the last 2 rounds, especially, when you got the element with tracks that you can either do one less stop or one more stop than everybody else, and you have crack on strategy, creates 2 completely different races out there. So, yeah, I guess if we talk about doing the same strategy Saturday to Sunday, they still had those 2 options, and you still saw 2 cracker races. So, on the other flip side, you either do the same format and you change a tyre or a tyre characteristic. You have a softer one day and a harder one day, and so it's a complete 150 and you got no data on. I'm not too sure if that element would be quite good too, because it changes the car characteristics so much with that element. But yeah, there's things that, I'm going to have an opinion, someone else will have an opinion how to do it. But I just always feel like the facts are on the wall, and we've been in this category over the last 20 years. I feel like there's not one thing that we haven't done. We've done 60-60 races, we've done long races, we've done different tyres in races and all kind of stuff. Surely there's enough ingredients there to go, well, what works and what doesn't work, and how do we maximize what we got? And I feel like the last 2 events is purely, was fantastic. I haven't spoken to anyone since the last 2 rounds, maybe because I was lucky enough to do well there, and they're riding the high that I am. But there was battles all along the field. There's so much action to watch everywhere.
You've you've sort of taken on a bit of a leadership role in the driver group, I guess, in the last couple of years in particular, even just highlighting things like the wheel nuts in Townsville or the formats in Sydney or whatever. Is that something that's just kind of come with age and experience? Do you think that you sort of have ended up being almost a spokesperson for the driver group in some cases?
I don't really feel like it's a leadership thing. I feel like for me, all the drivers especially want the same thing, where they just want a voice in our sport and be able to kind of try and help change things or try and help create the show better as well. So, and then you understand the Motorsport Australia side. There's so many other things that drivers necessarily don't think about, from safety views and all kind of stuff as that way. So, I've just been, I don't know, at the moment, just lucky enough to be involved to try and just bridge that gap a little bit with the communication side of things. I'm sorry, the communication side of things, but overall, it's still the pure driver group has probably been the biggest influence. So that's just not me on my side. That's everyone involved, and everyone wants to like to push the agenda to make things better. When it comes to wheel nuts and stuff like that, for me, it's just like obviously I had 2 races there where I had a bit of a locked wheel nut. So of course I'm going to comment about it when I think it probably changes my performance. But as you see, some teams have problems, some teams don't, and that's just raw emotion that comes out when you bring those up. I'm a bit of a cheeky bugger sometimes, so you like to throw a little jibe in there. It would be un-Australian if you didn't, but it's not personal or anything like that. It's just about telling your agenda and telling you how your race went, and try to be open with it. You get crucified for it, or for doing it, you get crucified for not doing it. That's just the world we live in. But overall, I'm really loving the sport that I'm in at the moment, and where the Gen 3 stuff is really starting to come on, and those last 2 rounds were just awesome racing.
You're not just a race driver these days, but you're actually a team owner as well. So your involvement in the sport, has taken on an extra kind of dimension. Has there been anything particularly eye-opening about the world of team ownership with the GT4 stuff?
Yeah, so I don't know how a lot of team members and crews, depending if the scheduling and all that kind of stuff is bang on, how they even stay awake for the weekend. I tell you, the amount of hours that goes in behind the scenes, it's easy to forget as a driver the amount of effort and workload that goes in behind. So, yeah, it's definitely been a refreshing reminder this year for me. I'm lucky they've got some really awesome people involved with my little side team with Method Motorsport, and that get us from round to round. But even the small involvement I do have in it, I'm like, wow, there's a lot that goes into this to keep the wheels turning. So on the flip side to that is the other super rewarding thing about it is just watching young drivers come through, trying to start their pathway into their motorsport career where they want to end up, and just watching even the talent that's out there in different categories, especially in GT4, is something really, really cool to see. So yeah, it's nice to get back to a bit more of the grassroots side of things, definitely when you've been in Supercars for 10 years. And it's a lot more busier, that's for sure, but I'm still glad that I've started that this year, and doing it with a good friend with Guy McIntyre, and our families coming together in the background, even prepping lunches on the weekend and sending it, and all that kind of the small stuff is just so cool to be a part of.
All right, let's finish with the Authentic Collectibles Top 10 Shootout, 10 rapid-fire questions, and unsurprisingly, some are related to collectibles. So, Chaz, who was your sporting idol growing up?
This is a 2-parter for me, so it's obviously Craig Lowndes, the way he was always on TV and doing so great, but I had a massive, I admired Glenn Seaton. I just thought he was probably one of the world's best touring car drivers, just about how much he would get out of a car. It was pretty cool to watch.
Did you ever collect any motor racing memorabilia, posters, trading cards, things like that when you were young?
Yeah, the most bizarre thing I had a really good family friend that used to do a lot of V8 Supercar panels for race teams. I think I got an old Dick Johnson front quarter that was all dinged up and stuff like that. And I think that's hung on our go-kart garage wall for like 20 years before Dad sold his place. So, yeah, that would probably funny what kids just want to grab is damaged parts, and you still see it these days at tracks where kids run up and wanting the rear skirt off a car or a front. It's obviously gold for them.
Kind of funny that you came into Supercars with Dick Johnson Racing as well. I mean, that's what a throwback.
That's it. No doubt I probably ripped up more front guards. So.
Do you collect things from your own motorsport career?
Yeah, a few things. It's really quite cool here. WAU, they're really big on the, once we get a result, is having a memory about it if it's a personalised poster of it. Bathurst 2021 win was really cool. We cut up one of the tyres from one of the stints, which is really cool, and just have that inside a nice photo, and the memory of the day with the fastest Bathurst lap at the time and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, there's all those things. It's quite cool. Yeah, I'll probably ask my partner. She's maybe not so big on them, especially when you're starting a family and all that's hanging on the wall is car photos everywhere. So, looking at trying to get a bigger shed at the moment so I can move all that stuff into there.
Which is your favourite piece of memorabilia? Is it the Bathurst one, or is there something else that has a special place in your heart?
For me, my biggest thing is just I've pretty much kept on to every race helmet that I've ever had in my career, even all the way back to go-karting days. So it's actually 2 that's not in my collection. Zach Brown decided to hijack one of the round, which just my helmet went missing. So he just helped himself, which I was a little bit dirty on. But then the end of last year, I let one go with Adam DeVore too when he decided to step back from full-time engineering. He was, with me for 10 years. So happy to see that our last helmet together go part with his motorsport collection. So other than that, I've got every single other one I've ever driven in most years. Early years when I was a bit young and keen to keep changing the personality on the helmet. I generally do between 3 or 4 helmets a year. Nowadays, it's more just looking like 2. But every single helmet in my career has been a different design. I don't have a specific design, and worked extremely hard over the years with different helmet helmet painters. But Ant-Man's done the most amount for me over the years. Had Stickstar there for a little while as well. Had Troy Lee Designs over in the States do some helmets for 1 year. But for me, just being different on every single one is something that's really quite cool. It's a bit of art in that.
Which one did Zach steal? What helmet?
It can't have had that many race wins, so I probably can't quite remember it.
That's a good sign.
Don't tell him that, though. I probably told him it was my most special one. And
do you collect anything from outside of motorsport?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm a bit of a fangirl to Kyle Felt and the North Queensland Cowboys. Is a bit of a good mate of mine, so we exchange a few. I've exchanged a couple of race suits to him, and he's exchanged a couple of jerseys over the time. So my wardrobe's kind of split with North Queensland Cowboys jerseys and race suits at the moment.
What's the ultimate race car you'd like to own or drive?
Ultimate race car,
or rally car?
For me, if it was a race car, it'd either be the RX-7, Neil Crompton, kind of Bathurst 12-hour equivalent production car days back in the 90s, or obviously this GDR 32 Skylines from that awesome 91, 92, 93 era around there. So I think those race cars were really cool. And I'm a bit of a Jap fan.
I was about to say, this is on my my list. Where does this love of JDM cars come from?
I think it was just growing up, and then it was like I've always been opposite. So like if I went to Bathurst when I was really young, when I was 12, and my family friends were mad Holden supporters. So that's where my kind of love Ford came from, because I was a bit of a shit stirrer. So I just wanted to be opposite to everyone. And then when I was growing up and 16, 17, all my friends either wanted like Falcons or Commodores, being typical Australia young kids growing up. And I'm like, no, I want a Honda Civic. So I'm going to have a big stereo instead of big horsepower. So it kind of started from there. And then I think for me, I still got my first Honda that I ever had, still in my garage at home. It's sentimental values through the roof, but I tried about for, I reckon, good solid 5-6 years to try and kill that car, but somehow it just kept going. So I think I was quite amazed at just how much punishment those cars could quite take. Even though I think I already got it. It was already had quite high Ks on it to start with.
Who is someone from motorsport, past or present, that you'd love to work with?
I'm not really massively like in F1. Obviously, there's some amazing drivers that I'm sure everyone would like to watch how Senna went about his business back in the day, but probably for me, I'd love to be a bit of a fly on the wall of how SVG goes about his craft, I'd say.
What race outside of Supercars is on top of your bucket list?
Event-wise?
Yeah.
So for me, I still got probably 2 wish list items. Would be to compete in Le Mans. I'd love to do that, either in a prototype or anything, just to be a part of the event would be really cool. And then I'd really love to do a Suzuka GT event. There used to be a Suzuka 10-hour, but I'm not too sure if it's actually come back around or not. So those 2 for me is just those style tracks that I'd love to go tick off the box.
And last one, what's your favourite pair of socks?
Ooh, favourite pair of socks. It changes weekly, which I'm never quite sure about. So, especially since little Everly's come along, it's kind of our thing before I leave that we put about 10, 15 pairs of socks on her lap, and whatever one she kicks off is generally a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday pair. So, and I must say the last 2 rounds it's worked really well for results. So we're not going to be breaking that cycle.
Perfect. Chaz, thanks so much for joining us on the Hard Card. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks very much.
We'll be back soon with another episode of The Hard Car. Don't forget to subscribe to the Authentic Collectibles YouTube channel, hit the little bell, and then you'll never miss an episode.